The interconnection of your life and your health. A simple read helping more people get back to the basics of better living. Authors, Dr. Danny Otis and Dr. Lona Cook. Table of contents. Prelude, story time. Chapter 1, you are responsible for your own healing. Chapter 2, the basics. Chapter 3, the interconnection of your life and your health. Chapter 4, why your neurospinal system matters. Chapter 5, what is tone? What does it have to do with my health and life? Chapter 6, how to keep things simple. Chapter 7, our mission and the big idea. Prelude, story time. When you are going through middle school, what is the one thing every kid wants? They want to be, quote, normal and, quote, fit in. We probably all can remember how awkward middle school can be. It may be safe to say it's the one part of school that we wouldn't want to go through again. I want you to picture a happy, healthy sixth grade boy. He loved hanging out with his friends, going to school, playing hockey and baseball, and being outside as much as possible. He couldn't imagine his life without these things. Every day after school, when he got off the bus, he would run home, change, and immediately go outside to play in the woods by his house, building forts, exploring with his neighborhood friends. He would come home, eat a full meal, unwind, and go to bed, just to wake up the next day and repeat the same thing. Then things started to change. He was losing energy. He would come home and feel fatigued. He just wanted to lie down and fall asleep after coming home from school. He was never hungry, and when he did eat, he felt nauseous. Something was not right. One evening after dinner, his parents found a tick on him. He didn't have the traditional rings around the bite that most people know to look for with Lyme's disease, so they thought it might be okay. They decided to take their middle schooler to the doctor, who said the same thing. He doesn't have any Lyme's disease. Try this for symptoms. They prescribed medication for the fatigue. Weeks later, while playing hockey, he suffered a neck and rib injury that made matters worse. The life he was living and the things he couldn't imagine living without started to change. Every night, he would wake up at 3 a.m. and lie awake until the morning. He started losing weight because he was unable to eat a full meal because his stomach hurt so much. He started to become constipated. The doctors told him that nothing was wrong and that he needed to take Miralax to help. He did the opposite. Side effects started to make him dizzy and anxious. Anxiety started to turn into panic attacks at school. He started missing school weekly and his classes daily because he would feel faint, dizzy, and anxious. His schoolwork started to fall behind. His friends started to notice he was missing school. They would see him at baseball and hockey and start to point out how skinny he was getting. All he wanted to do was be normal and, quote, fit in. He just wanted to be at school with his friends, but he felt that he couldn't. So he started to feel anxious about going to sports, and he didn't want to play them anymore. His mom brought him to different doctors who told him the same things. It's in your head, take this pill, etc. Nothing was working. The boy started to get severely depressed. All the things he loved started to cause him pain, and the list of medications and pills started to grow. Does this sound like anybody else you know? Sadly, this is far too common. Here, take this. We don't know what exactly was going on, but this medication will help. It's a common American tale. One day when he was playing outside, his neighborhood friend told him that he looked so skinny, he looked like he was in a concentration camp. He ran inside crying, asking his mom what was wrong with him. She had had enough. She had to find the real answers. She had heard about a different doctor from her sister. This doctor was a chiropractor and did things naturally. So she scheduled an appointment with this chiropractor who looked at the body holistically. They got both into the car and drove almost 2 hours for the appointment. During the initial consultation, they started talking about what was going on, and the chiropractor asked him, "And let me guess, you're waking up every night around 3 in the morning." The boy and his mom looked at each other, surprised, and answered, "Yes, how did you know that?" The doctor began to explain what was going on and how healing is from the inside out, not the outside in. All the Lyme growth in the body, the injury from the hockey, the medication toxicity, and the Miralax were causing a perfect storm of so many side effects. The chiropractor explained that health is about being able to adapt and heal, and a big component of this ability to heal and respond happens through the health of the nervous system. In this boy's case, his nervous system was so imbalanced, it couldn't regulate his sleep cycle, digestion, or assimilation of nutrients from his food. The last and probably the most important thing that the chiropractor outlined was the boy was responsible for his own healing. What a concept. Everything the boy knew had been doing didn't seem to make sense anymore. He went to so many doctors who told him it was in his head or to take medication to help and gave his power away to heal away to the medication. How could a 12-year-old be responsible for his health? But what if this was true? So they started to change the way he ate, the routines he had, and most importantly, he started getting adjusted regularly. By getting his nervous system balanced and properly regulated, he was able to sleep through the night after 2 weeks and was able to get off Miralax and other meds within the first month. After the first 3 weeks, he was having no panic attacks at school and his anxiety started to improve and go away. He started to go to the bathroom regularly. He started gaining weight. And again, he could finish a meal without feeling nauseous. Perhaps the most important thing was that he started to get his confidence back. He was at school regularly for full days. His grades improved. He wanted to go to hockey, baseball, and play outside again. He became happy again and felt like he was able to live a life and fit in. He felt empowered that he was able to heal from the inside out and take his health into his own hands. This child that we're speaking of is Dr. Danny. Since 6th grade, Dr. Danny knew he wanted to help people get their lives back and continue their lives with vitality. He knew that he wanted to be a chiropractor because his chiropractor saved his life. He wanted to continue regular chiropractic care in college and started getting adjusted by Dr. Lona at Cook Chiropractic Center weekly. Years later, after chiropractic school, he was able to join the practice at Cook Chiropractic Center. Dr. Lona and Dr. Danny are on a mission to help transform people's health and empower them to start to understand that healing is their responsibility and that it really starts by understanding the basics of health and where healing comes from. Why did we write this quick read? We were sitting in a seminar earlier this year discussing with our office team the topic of how to better serve people and help them to better their well-being and access information that makes healthy living simple. One of the main struggles we discussed was how to help people access easy and congruent information on how to heal and thrive naturally. From the second we are born, we are given messages by those who are there to assist us that we may be something wrong with our bodies. From vaccinating a child and squirting things in their eyes in the name of prevention the moment they are born to, quote, well checkups that are generally aren't focused on education and are more focused on prescribing pharmaceuticals, we have a system that has done a lot of sickness in the name of health. To start to look at health differently seems easy enough, but the more we talked, the more we realized there are millions of messages coming at the average person these days. The digital world and our busy day-to-day lives have created a lot of noise and confusion when it comes to health, and most of the messages are showing us that our bodies are not to be trusted. Our symptoms need to go away immediately and that we need something outside ourselves to fix us. Our phones, the Hulu commercials, the radio ads, our neighbors' emails, even the fixed billboard ads along the highway sway our ability to navigate what we believe to be healthy, what choices we have, and what will help us heal. And there are many mixed messages. It is confusing. It is with this in mind that we, Dr. Danny and Dr. Lona, have wanted to take our message of making healthy living simple and stripping back some of what we've been told to bring it to you in an easy to read, efficient book. There may be some new concepts in this book. Try to keep an open mind and be curious as to how you could apply this to your own lived experience. We are not here to sell you anything except on yourself and taking the best care or learn or unlearn what you can do to be your healthiest. Usually a change in paradigm starts with the willingness to be curious. Be curious as you read. Could you entertain a different perspective and try on some new thoughts about health, well-being? If so, we think you will enjoy this quick read. As for us, our background is in holistic health. We are both trained as doctors of chiropractic, and we have a passion to learn more about health, even when it comes to going against the mainstream medical process at times or our conditioning. We have chosen to look deeper at what allows a person vibrant health and what works against it. The deeper we go, the less complicated it really is. However, that doesn't mean it's easy. Simple doesn't mean easy. For example, you can know what to eat, but following that is not easy. This book is meant to simplify and help you create the basics to better living. Cheers to better living. Dr. Lona Cook and Dr. Danny Otis. Chapter 1. You are responsible for your own healing. Most of us say we want to be healthy, and most of us hopefully grow up believing we would be healthy as adults. However, somewhere between birth and where we are now, many times there is a disconnect between true health and what we are experiencing. Why is that? As we see it, most of it's not your fault. However, it is to change it certainly will be your responsibility. So why do we say it's not your fault? Well, most of us learned our health habits by way of our environment. So what makes up our environment? Our family, our schools, our work, our church, and those we spend the most time around or receive the most messages from make up our environment. Facebook, Instagram, commercials, movies, etc. If you're like us, you may have grown up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, when more miscued messages about being healthy were coming at you than you could believe. Just think about the commercials back then. From the fat-free craze that had everyone believing fat was the culprit and that chemically altered food was the solution, to the messages, unbelievably, still on TV, selling you a pill for every symptom you have, endorsing our big pharma cartel, and somehow teaching us that to be consumers of pills for the rest of our lives is, quote, healthcare. We have been marked a raw deal when it comes to understanding health and well-being. This is not your fault. However, unlearning that and learning to trust your body and the ability to heal and change, no matter what your age, will take a radical deviation from this previously marketed version of health that had you believing you need a pill for everything, a surgery is a quick fix, and that you can trust your doctors more than your own self. If you see anything possibly amiss with this, you probably have already begun to question things. Now, we are not saying that you have bad doctors, nurses, or medical practitioners, or that you never need a surgery or a checkup. There may be a time and a place for everything, but looking for health in an environment modeled to treat chronic disease or life or death situations is not the place to start. It should be the last resort or in case of emergency. Whether you agree with that or not, something we all usually agree on is that there's not enough transparency in where money flows in this country when it comes to the healthcare systems. And unfortunately, healthy people don't bring income to the hospitals, pharma companies, and all the many intertwined companies in the business of healthcare, or should we say, quote, sick care. Another main issue with this system is that once you are deeply enmeshed in doctoring and pills, it's difficult to unwind. Difficult, but not impossible. However, it will require doing different things and learning new ideas, concepts, and actions. If you look at our last few years as a nation, there were pharma companies that had made trillions of dollars off our current model of health. According to the Almanac of Chronic Disease in 2008, Dr. Richard A. Kamoa, 17th Surgeon General of the United States, reported that as a nation, we spend $2 trillion a year on healthcare to, quote, treat chronic disease. That's about 16% of our country's GDP. That was 15 years ago. Do you think those numbers went up or down after the pandemic? In addition to this, the US takes 45% of the world's prescription drugs. According to 2019 Bloomberg Healthiest Countries Index, we are 35th on the list of, quote, healthiest nations, despite outspending every other country by double on medicine. It doesn't add up. So what can we do? You can become healthier and more in control of where your money is spent by taking back your power when it comes to your healthcare, questioning the current mainstream model and learning new options. And much of it is actually pretty simple. So if we understand that much of where we have come from may have a purpose when someone's in a health crisis, but leading us to robust health, then what do we do next? This is where we want to focus the remainder of the book. Who is the boss? Think of a cut healing. What does the healing? You and only you. So when it comes to our health and well-being, we all get to step back up to the top of the food chain. You are your own best doctor because you live in your body 24/7. Who knows it best? You do. Read that again. It may not feel true for you yet, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, but you do know your body best, and you can tune in your body to a greater degree. As you get more and more comfortable asking yourself some questions, many times you will direct yourself to a better circumstance when you learn to listen to your own inner wisdom. This may sound like woo-woo, but I think most of us do pay attention to this inner voice or gut reaction or intuition. At times in a certain part of our life, maybe in business or in parenting, perhaps you have never thought of it when it comes to your health and what steps to take to improve your well-being. We are not saying you don't need some great doctors or other providers on your team, but you are the boss and advocate for you and your own family's health care. And that is very important to know in order to navigate today's waters in healthcare. With you in the leadership of your healthcare team as a starting point, we now can go into some of the basics to better health. When we really start to look at health, we realize health isn't a static state. It's ever-changing, adaptable, highly resistant state that will have valleys and high points. It's not linear or a place that you just hang out at. So with this in mind, how does one build the resiliency needed to navigate all that life presents, as well as heal from previous stressors, accidents, and insults to the body? That is what this book is about. Keep reading and remember you are responsible for the one who does the healing. Chapter 2, the basics, the foundational concepts. First, we must recognize we are part of nature. Just as the moon and the sun have a daily rhythm, our bodies have many daily rhythms. Have you ever thought about this? Examples of this are elimination, aka pooping and peeing, exhaling, any second by second cycles that keep us digesting, Krebs cycles, providing energy to keep us moving, and so much more. When these rhythms deviate, for example, when under stress, like a deadline, and return to normal, that shows adaptation, which is a healthy response. When they deviate and don't return to homeostasis, which means your healthy baseline, that generally produces symptoms. For examples, a period of indigestion that turns into years of chronic constipation, or the slow climb in blood pressure that becomes diagnosed hypertension. Give those symptoms enough time, and that's generally when people start to pay attention. These nagging symptoms are our body's mechanisms or signs to alert us that there's something stressing the system to the degree that it is now overwhelming our ability to adapt. Our inability to adapt or lack of resilience over time causes, quote, dis-ease, and then disease in the body. It is not just a sign that the body needs medication or that is broken and can never heal. Our body is trying to communicate with us. And that communication is not just give me a laxative. So what is it communicating? And what are the next best steps? Those answers are what are unique to you and why you must be willing to tune in and listen to your body. To build robust health, we must realize our body's rhythms are important and we must pay attention to them. For most of us, learning to listen is somewhat new. And to learn to love our bodies and trust our bodies is totally new. If we are part of nature, we are also connected to nature. To even think about yourselves as part of nature may be very, very new. Most of us have heard things like, when there is a full moon, there are more EMS calls, or the hospital ER gets a little wonky. Why is that? When the weather changes, many people with arthritic conditions complain of the pressure changes. Why is that? Because our bodies and our systems, are more intimately connected to and influenced by our perceived outer world than we think. Why does this matter? Well, when we get to know we are part of nature, we also have to remember to get in touch with it again. In this age, we can go many days without touching something natural or being outside with sunlight. It is this contact with the earth, the sun, and the energy of nature for which our bodies are starving. Think of a plant. If it was indoors all the time and the light it got was only from a lamp and a computer, how well would it do? Now, instead of giving it water, you decide you would only give it diet pop. Now, how well is it doing? The point is, we are very similar to plants. We need sunshine, clean water, proper oxygen exchange, etc. But we have somehow neglected this. So get outside, get in the sunshine, go out to a forest and sit in the grass. We have had to go so far as to call this earthing, aka touching the earth and getting the benefits that produces electricity for your body. For more info, check out this book called The Earthing, the Most Important Ever by Clinton Ober, Martin Zucker, and Stefan Sintra. In previous generations, they didn't have to worry about this because they were much more in contact with outdoors. Splitting wood, farming, and walking to school were common experiences for many. Spoiler alert, there's no way to hack the time spent in nature. You just need to do it daily. If you're not getting any right now, start with 5-minute breaks when you go outside to get some sunshine in your eyes. We're also electromagnetic beings, and the earth is electromagnetic. Its energy does influence us. This is why the moon cycles and the weather cycles, which also change, influence us. We are all connected via energy. So what does this mean in simple terms? Be in nature more. Not feeling well? Get in the water, bathtub, etc. Or go outside, sit in the grass, breathe the air. Be there longer than you were last month. We all know technology is here to stay and has many benefits, but so does time away from it. Look to nature to give you ideas. What do your pets do when they are stressed or afraid? They shake, they get rid of the energy, and they find their people. Hopefully we do similar things. Move your body, be with those who love and support you and help you feel safe. We must move our bodies dynamically just like a child. They move and use all ranges of motion. We at all ages need to do the same. It may be more gentle. You're not jumping off the couch at 40 the way you were at 4 years old, but you can remain playful and incorporate daily full ranges of movement. Stretch your arms overhead or get down in a low squat. Can't do that anymore? Start where you are now. Go 1 degree deeper than is comfortable. Breathe. Feel your body pushing against its limit gently. Movement is not a luxury. It is a necessity, just like food and water. Speaking of water, what do animals drink? Moving, clean water. Clean food. Have you ever dropped something and have you been eating near your dog and your dog wouldn't eat it? That's a huge sign. Don't eat that. And we are not saying drink out of your toilet. However, we are going to say to get the concept and make improvements. We need fresh water. Water, water, water. Not diet pop, not things put into water. Water. Lots of it. More than you are currently drinking. We can almost guarantee it. If you're not willing to drink water, we hope you can realize this is very serious. You are a human animal and you are not taking in a clean amount of water. Your body is mostly made up of like 70% or so. This means you're taxing all systems in your body to run with this deficiency and also putting incredible strain on your body's ability to detox things out of the kidneys. If you're constipated before trying things, try doubling your water intake by 2 to 3 times and see what happens over the next 2 to 4 weeks. Many times the thing that our complaints about our bodies change radically if we have enough clean water and a little more movement. It is truly amazing to us how some people function on only diet pop and exceptionally limited water. The body is more resilient than we can believe, given how out of balance some of our modern day living is. Is it wild that we are not sicker? Can you imagine if you only fed your dog Diet Coke? What kind of health would they have? Next, let's talk clean food. It doesn't have to be difficult. Recently, an elderly patient was telling us about their old school osteopath, who was their family doctor in private practice and used to work on their body and teach them about health. He had passed years ago, and she was recounting what he taught her about eating. He said, if your food spoils, eat it before it spoils. If it doesn't spoil, don't eat it. It really can be that simple as a starting point. If we all did that, we would have radically different health. Now, we realize that some of this isn't convenient and our lives are fast paced. However, being sick isn't convenient either. Remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of your choices and decisions should be in alignment, which gives you some wiggle room with the 20%, meaning you don't have to be perfect, just improving. Use this as a starting point, then keep getting better. It doesn't have to be cold turkey to better health. Baby steps every day. A 1% shift every week is massive. Add more water, eat real food that you know where it originates from. Was it grown? Did it have a mother? How many ingredients are in it? If you know these things and are not acting on this advice, ask yourself why. What holds you back? Why are you causing yourself self-harm? Or possibly, where are you lying to yourself? Do you value something more than good health? If so, what would happen if you lost your health? We are not here to berate you about your choices, just to help you consider some new options. As far as other nutrition, yes, there are many vitamins and many options for food, but rather than complicate things, ask yourself, am I eating well? Do I have proper fats, proteins, and clean foods? How do I feel after I eat? Remember that our bodies need good fats for making cellular linings and supporting our brains and nervous systems. Fat is not what's making you or anyone else fat. Crappy, non-spoiling, over-processed food is. Carrying extra weight may have deep-seated emotional connections as well. Also, when we don't have proper amounts of good fats like avocados, oils, raw nuts, grass-fed meats, eggs, etc., the processed food we are eating doesn't satiate our brains. You keep eating more of the wrong thing and getting too many calories, but your body is still starving for the good nutrients it needs. Now let's chat about stress. Stress has become a buzzword that is overused. The bottom line is that stressors can be good or bad. We can't live without stress. It's part of being alive. Sometimes stress causes us to adapt and grow and change, like working out and gaining muscle tone. We need stress. It's when we can't adapt to it that it becomes an issue. However, we are a culture that has been sold on being busy is the only way to be. To jam-pack our schedules, work super hard, and toil to retirement as the gold standard. We start this at a young age. Our kids' school, sports, extracurriculars are jam-packed. From the time we are in grade school, we have been taught to value ourselves more if we are very busy and stressing ourselves to the max. But is that the best way to be? Does this type of schedule work for everyone? What if we learned to find more harmony or learned to think about work in a different way? What if you didn't care about retirement because you found work that was meaningful and you're enjoying both your work and your time not at work? What if you had more built-in time through your week or your year to take care of yourself? What if you built a life that engaged in daily and found purpose in your day-to-day that inspired you? What if rest was also celebrated priority? That doesn't mean there isn't a stressful times. It just means that you are supported and can get through the stress because you enjoy your life. None of this is going to happen overnight. We get that. However, it won't happen at all if we don't entertain the thoughts first. Rethinking some of the things we say yes to, like more activities and more projects we don't enjoy and more friendships that aren't super fulfilling, versus saying yes to other things like take a nap on the couch, a day home with the kids, just enjoying and chatting, or a vacation we saved for by saying no to some other things that are more meaningful and important. Busy is not the badge a life you love and feel connected to is. This is a process, and it starts with curating what you say yes to by choosing what brings value into your life and what you care about, as well as supporting the life you want to live. Choose your hard. Change isn't easy, but neither is the feeling of stagnation and the same repetitive issues. We must align our own lives, our dreams, excitements, passions, ideas, and heart first and foremost. Many of us have been taught to put our own needs aside. The problem is that our needs also must be factored in. When we forget ourselves in the equation of our family or our kids or our significant others, this creates an energy pattern that is not healthy, and we pass this on to our kids. We will talk more about this in the coming chapters of creating better alignment in our energy and how we approach our life and our well-being. Sometimes we don't even register that we're stressed out because we are so used to it. This is probably more common than the opposite. So how do you know if you're chronically stressed? Think about your breathing. One of the things that changes when we get stressed repeatedly is that we stop breathing. We breathe short, shallow breaths or hold our breath during the day and the night, sleep apnea. This is also not healthy for us physiologically. It's like we're in a fight or flight simulation all the time, which has many layers of negative consequences to our health. We must reteach ourselves to breathe and relax. Slow down, exhale fully. Breathe through your nose as much as possible. If you want to learn more about the power of breath, please start with the book Breath by James Nestor. It's a great read on the power of breath and gives some great examples of how you can learn to change your physiology through breathing. Your breath is free, always with you, so it's a great place to start when looking at some areas you can change. As we wrap up this chapter, we have gotten very briefly into some of the foundational basics: more nature, more water, more clean eating, more connection to things you love and that fill you up, and a reduction in things that don't serve you or provide value in your life. We will get to some other concepts in the coming chapters. Chapter 3, the interconnection between your life and your health. We live in a time and a place that has not done a great job of helping us to see all aspects of our life contribute to our experience of being healthy or not. What do we mean by that? Well, certainly there are physical aspects of health. Some we just covered in the previous chapter: moving, stretching, using our physical bodies, what we eat and what we drink, and how often we sleep are some physical aspects. Most of us know some of these basic clean habits and know they are choices we should or could be doing. Whether we choose to act on these choices or not is a different story. However, what we have found is that most people don't factor in the rest of their lives, like what else is going on with them right now or what has gone on in the past. When it comes to understanding their health and why it is the way it is, it's all connected. When we think about the past and get too enmeshed in thoughts of how we wish we could have changed something or how it could be different, that generally leads to some lower states of emotion, such as anger, resentment, guilt, depression, etc. When we worry about what is coming in the future and let those thoughts overwhelm the present moment, that can create a snowball of anxiety and fear. The key is to work to remind yourself that you are here and life is happening now. Whenever possible, you want to shift your mindset and find an element to be grateful for where your feet are, even if you don't like the circumstances. It can be a springboard to make new choices instead of feeling as though you have no control. We bring up these concepts of past, present, and future because much of what we are experiencing physically has the connection also to our wholeness, i.e. our thoughts, mindset, emotions, and beliefs. Form follows thought, if you will. We tend to lack awareness of how these factors into our physical body is experiencing. We may clean up our diet, but also forget to look at other things like staying in a very stressful job environment that we hate and have many negative thoughts or beliefs around, or putting ourselves in poor relationships that harbor a lot of resentment, or paying attention to the instant negative self-talk that is going through our minds. We must clean these areas up too, as it is important. Otherwise, it's like we are marinating in a negative energy field. We can run and exercise and drink water all we want, but if we harbor intense negative emotions, thoughts, and feelings, our bodies are going to show us that truth. This is wrapped up in our energy field, really. It's quite amazing that our body is as intricate as it is, and a map to what's happening deep down inside of our lives. Our physical body is an extension of everything we experience, not just physically. Just like water and water vapor are different forms of the same substance of which ice is made, your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and connection to something bigger than yourselves are an extension of your physical body in different form. When we are looking to really heal and thrive, we must pay attention to the whole of us. Moving toward positive or at least neutral thinking can be a transformative to our health and our lives. Reformatting negative loops and self-talk to stop that chatter or to look to bring more neutrality, awareness, gratitude, and forgiveness into our lives daily for ourselves and others as part of healing. A change of perspective, if you will. So why are chiropractors talking about this? Because your spine is the bony case around your energy conduit or your energy highway of electricity that courses through your spinal cord and connects to your brain and nervous system as it emanates throughout your system. You are electromagnetic. Your thoughts hold energy and frequency just as the physical aspects of you do. If you break down food to its smallest form, it's an atom of energy. If you break down a thought impulse in your brain all the way down to it's an atom of energy. Simply put, it's all energy. We will teach you in the upcoming chapters the concepts of tone or frequency and how it matters to your health. For now, understand that someone who harbors intense hate, anger, resentment, guilt, or shame puts out a different energy field than someone who is neutral, loving, or grateful. The key thing is that we can learn to curate our thoughts and our emotions, but we must be aware and we must have the courage to start to see the full spectrum of possibilities in thinking and beliefs that are available to us. The glass is both half full and half empty. How do you choose to look at it? Just because we have always been one way doesn't mean we are destined to stay that way. However, we must have the courage to think new thoughts, to find new providers, perspectives, resources, and to look at our lives and bodies from a different lens and more interconnected lens, to see the possibility of change and healing. You are worth that. Where you are today is not your fault, good, bad, or otherwise, but to change it will be your responsibility. We are here to help anyone who wants our help. We can't do it for you, but we can help guide you along the way and point you in the right direction. Chapter 4, why your neurospinal system matters so much. Quote, life is the expression of tone. In that sentence is a basic principle of chiropractic. End quote, T.D. Palmer. As we were saying in the last chapter, why are chiropractors talking about all this? The answer is because someone needs to talk about it. Our profession began from a man who was obsessed with understanding tone, spirituality, magnetic fields, health, dis-ease, and the interconnection in the body through our neurospinal system. Our health, vitality, and energy are connected to our brain. Think of it as a receiver and transmitter. And this energy from our brain communicates throughout our entire body through our nervous system. The basic principle on which chiropractic is founded is that life is the expression of tone. The founder of chiropractic desired to answer the question, why was one person alien and his associate eating at the same table, working on the same shop, at the same bench, was not? Why? What difference was there in these two persons that caused one to have various diseases while his partner escaped? D.D. Palmer. This highway of communication we all have is what keeps us alive with millions of miracles daily that keep our lungs breathing, our hearts beating, our kidneys filtering, and our body's ability to navigate our lives to adapt to what is happening. You are a walking miracle, even if you have never thought of it like that. You are made from 2 cells and now are made up of trillions and trillions of cells that all coordinate together to allow you to breathe, walk, cry, fall in love, watch a sunset, laugh, eat, and so much more. Think about all the miracles of life that have allowed you to even read this page. Eyes that focus, a nose breathing in gases to exchange with lungs, and a heart pumping new blood to receive the oxygen and exchange it. And that is only the very tip of the iceberg. Our spine happens to be the bony case that protects and armors this really important connection between brain and body. It is with this knowledge that we tell you that your spine is really not the exciting part. Your highway of communication and the energy coursing through it is. However, it's the health of the spine is important because of its intimate relationship with our neurology. In all of us, different stressors, such as physical choices, like how we sit at work, mental choices, like our self-talk, or emotional choices, like the tone of energy we transmit, such as anger, love, jealousy, or peace, are constantly signaling our brain and causing us to make moment by moment adaptations to these stressors. Our bodies become an embodiment of these patterns. This is where chiropractors come in. We are trained to locate where these areas of dis-ease are along the spine where a body is unable to adapt. We call them subluxations, which stands for areas of less light. The simple understanding we want you to come out with is that your energy matters and how it's flowing also matters. The tone of your emotions, thoughts, feelings, and more are also connected to the flow or tone of your body and neurospinal system. Your nervous system is the conduit of energy and life force coursing through you. This is what makes us different from a cadaver. We have the same physical parts, but something is missing in them. Using tools like chiropractic to help your body reintegrate and open up areas or patterns where your system is subluxated offers the body an upgrade and an option to change and reintegrate this energy. You have heard the quote, "This definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result," right? Well, in the case of chiropractic, one of the most simple things you can do that offers change to your whole system is to have your neurospinal system analyzed and checked by a skilled chiropractor to help release subluxation patterns with which your body is dealing, and then let nature do what it does best, heal and adapt. You see, we trust that when we get a cut, the body will heal it. It's not the Band-Aid that does the healing. We trust that when we become pregnant, our body will create a human baby from the union of the sperm and the egg. Somehow we forget our magnificence when it comes to this everyday aspect of our health. Remember, your amazing energy system is always adapting and doing its best. However, we have to give it opportunities to change, to integrate stuck energy, and to release what is no longer serving it. Chiropractic is simple. A free-flowing energetic system is one that has more ease and better energetic tone, and therefore is more able to adapt to its internal environment to fit the stressors it encounters day in life. In addition, your end of engaging in care is up to you. The more often you do things like eating cleaner, getting better sleep, brushing your teeth, or showing gratitude, the better you become at it. Find a chiropractic office where you feel heard and are able to ask questions and learn about how to engage this care in a holistic outlet for your entire family. This will pay off for many years to come and generations to follow. Chapter 5, Tone and Why It Matters to Your Life. We've brought up this thing called tone. What you may be sort of confused as to why are we talking about it? Do we mean muscle tone? No, not really. The best way to understand tone is probably think of a violin string. Violin string has a certain tone it produces when it's stressed. And depending on the degree of tension that is in that string, there can be a different tone that is sent out, a different frequency. There can be either normal tone or abnormal tone present. Your body is the same. Depending on tone or tension in your neurospinal system, your entire being has a different tone or frequency. For example, let's say you're driving into work, someone cuts you off, and you avoid an accident by like a split second. You feel tense, your heart beats faster, your tone increases. Now let's picture yourself on a beach. It's perfect temperature, the sun is shining, you hear the waves crashing at the beach. You're nice and relaxed. Your tone is different. Which tone would you prefer throughout your day? A relaxed, healthy tone or a stressed, high-strung tone? Some of you have probably already learned some of this. You may have learned a bit about the law of attraction, but never really understood when it comes to your health. Our tone attracts more of the same tone, so choose wisely and start to align your actions with the tone you want present in your life. The key thing to remember is that tone cannot be hacked. By this, we mean a person may come off like he or she is happy and positive, but deep down they may be filled with fear and a fight or flight response feeling in the pit of his or her stomach. His or her brain and nervous system will respond to that. Energy doesn't lie. Some tones are life producing, and some tones are aligned with dis-ease. This is why ultimately all healing is an inside-out job. Really, it's an above-down, inside-out job. We have a connection to something greater. Your body knows what tone is needed in that exact moment. As we talked about earlier, the jaw-dropping order that is present in nature and its rhythms are also present in us. We trust that morning follows night, spring follows winter, and that when we eat, we will eliminate. We have patterns and rhythms and are connected to the greater rhythms present in nature. Heck, even women generally, if not on medication, have periods and ovulation cycles that follow the 28-day moon cycle. So cool. In chiropractic, we have something called the major premise. It basically says everything has intelligence. So yes, that includes us. We are not just randomly put together, and we are not so different from the order in how a sunflower will grow up towards the sunlight, sprout into a beautiful bloom, and eventually drop its petals and seeds and become one with the dirt again to rebuild the next evolution of that soil. There is some foundational truth in this order and intelligence that we as humans sometimes forget in our own lived experience. However, we have not been taught to trust this. Instead, we have been taught to fear our bodies aging and even our cycles. And many times in the process, we have lost our power and ability to adapt through challenges and thrive. In order to heal, truly heal, we will have to do the opposite. We have to look within, move into a healthier, life-giving tone, love, gratitude, neutrality, peace, and courage, and embrace that we can heal. We have to recognize that there are options, changes, new ideas, and new people who might be helpful in our journey back to this vital nature we all carry within ourselves. For some of us, this is easy. For others, the first steps feel really scary because they are different from what we have previously been taught. Again, finding places and providers, all as well as support that can help you engage in this are vital. You may have heard the quote, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears." This seems to be true of health too. When you're ready for the next steps, options come to you. You break free from repeating old patterns. You find new models and new answers. This is healing. You're not the only ones who hold the key and step into the possibilities. So to sum up tone, we want you to know this. Everything is tone because everything is energy. We can have a normal or abnormal tone with our energy. You can walk into a room where people have been fighting and feel a certain tone, and you can feel snuggled up with your child and feel a different tone. We can use this ability to listen within and start to heal and make new choices that allow us to change and tune ourselves differently. Does this choice feel good for my body, or is it working against it? This is a simple yet powerful question that we can start to ask ourselves. This starts to create the awareness to be able to make changes. No change is too small. Change, as scary as it seems at times, is inevitable. Without change, we would never grow. We would never heal. It is for our own benefit. When we start to look at the change in a positive light instead of fearing it, that's when the miracles happen. That's when we can start becoming a game. We can start to play the how good can I feel game. Most of us have never even asked or allowed ourselves to think like that. Did something happen that you don't like? It's okay. You still get to choose how you're going to respond to it. That is where the power lies. Chiropractic helps us to do this by unwinding stored tension in the body along the spine. When we choose something healthy for our physical body, it affects all things in our lives. Just like how when we choose something healthier for us emotionally, it also helps our physical body. It's all intertwined. A great resource to read if you want to understand more about tone and vibration is David Hawkins' book, starting with Power versus Force. We highly recommend this book and the books that follows by Dr. Hawkins. Chapter 6, Keeping It Simple. We have covered some deep concepts. Maybe this is all new to you. That's okay. However, we know or entertain some of these concepts, the responsibility can feel overwhelming. You are empowered and also responsible for creating change to heal. This can be a lot. It can also be overwhelming to think about change. Maybe that's how you feel right now. That's okay. You might even be frustrated or annoyed. Start small. Choose one thing to start or stop. Maybe you're doing it right now as you just started your journey with chiropractic care. Or maybe you're going to drink more water and start to pay attention to how you feel. No change is too small, so have fun with it. You will know your next step. 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still forward progress. It's not all or nothing. In a journey, sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is stop beating yourself up in your own mind. When those thoughts creep in, you say hello to them, you acknowledge them, that they are no longer helpful. You can think new thoughts. This is a huge step. Remember, you are your own best doctor. There are avenues and tools that will speak to you and can assist you in this healing. We were not put on this planet to do life alone. Share from your heart. Being vulnerable can be one of the biggest steps in healing and can move you closer to things that feel like a yes in your gut or your bones. Move away from the things that plant unnecessary worry or fear in your mind or our old patterns of fear. We are lucky because in our line of work, we get to see people go through incredible changes, sometimes even after they've been told they would never heal. Recently, we had a patient who started care in our office. One of the first things he said was how he had been to every doctor. He had tried every option and nothing's worked. So he wanted to give this a try. It was with his second adjustment of the week after a week or 2 of care. After the first adjustment of the week, he still had felt no change a couple weeks in and was starting to get down on himself. After the second adjustment, he said he felt the best he had felt in over 20 years. So what changed? During the second adjustment, before he had gotten on the table to get adjusted, he shared some very heavy stuff that happened in his past. We talked through it for a few minutes. We listened, we held space, and he released a lot of stuff he had been holding on to for decades. Then he proceeded to get adjusted, stood up, and shared that he was feeling the best he had felt in years. He had felt lighter. He continued to get adjusted regularly, and now is even going back to the gym. That was a pivotal point. He could have given up, but he made the choice on his own on that day that he was going to let go and work through it. He was his own best doctor that day. He wasn't alone. He was vulnerable, and that allowed him to take a big step in his own healing. No step is too small. Love is the opposite of fear. And we all know deep down that in order to heal, we must love ourselves and move towards love and the expression of life daily. The work is never fully done because we are having a human experiences of contraction and expansion, light and dark. Just breathe and do your best. It is human to deviate from this, but it's a mark of progress if we keep coming back and recommitting to what is in alignment for our highest good. Honor the past and make decisions with the future you would love to live in mind. To integrate some of what you have read, please write out 1 to 5 new thoughts, habits, or ideas you have had from this book. How could these things change or impact your future next week, next month, next year? Now take action on one of those things. Space to write your ideas. Chapter 7, our mission and the big idea. Our mission is to share the knowledge that has radically changed our lives and our lineages regarding how we take care of our physical health in all aspects of our lives. To see the interconnection and the importance of a healthy spine, nervous system, and tone is to empower your life. Please share the gift of this knowledge with others and pass this book along if it has served you. We want to help other people to better understand the integration of their energy with their lives and how to step into better healing and well-being. Lastly, we want to leave you with an idea. It's a story of how a small change can change the world. Here it goes. B.J. Palmer, The Big Idea. A slip on a snowy sidewalk in winter is a small thing. It happens to millions. A fall from a ladder in the summer is a small thing. That also happens to millions. The slip or fall produces a subluxation. The subluxation's a small thing. The subluxation produces pressure on a nerve. That pressure is a small thing. Pressure cuts off the flow of mental impulses. That decreased flowing is a small thing. That decreased flowing produces a dis-eased body and brain. That is a big thing to that person. Multiply that sick person by 1,000 and you control the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that person by 1,000,000 and you shape the physical and mental destiny of a state. Multiply that person by 130 million and you forecast in prophecy the physical and mental state of a nation. Now comes a person. Any one person is a small thing. This person gives an adjustment. The adjustment is a small thing. The adjustment replaces the subluxation. That is a small thing. The adjusted subluxation releases pressure upon nerves. That is a small thing. That released pressure restores health to a man, woman, or child. That is a big thing to that man, woman, or child. Multiply them by 1,000 and you step up the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply them by 1,000,000 and you increase the efficiency of a state. Multiply them by 130 million and you have produced a healthy, wealthy, and better race for posterity. So adjustment of the subluxation to release pressure upon the nerves to restore mental impulse flow, to restore health, is big enough to rebuild thoughts and actions of the world. The idea that knows cause, that can correct the cause of dis-ease is one of the biggest ideas known. Without it, nations fall. With it, nations rise. The idea is the biggest I know of. Dr. B.J. Palmer, the developer of chiropractic. If you'd like to know more, this book is available on our website, www.cookchirocenter.com and drlonacook.com. Purchase other books by Dr. Lona, Reclamation, The Evolution of a Hot Mess, on Amazon.